Hello everyone, welcome back. So I have something interesting to share with everybody. Autodesk made a partnership with Anthropic, which is the company behind Claude, and it's a really interesting move that Autodesk partnered up with Anthropic to actually allow us to use the Claude desktop version of it to manipulate Autodesk Fusion, which I think is the beginning of what they're trying to do. With their partnership is kind of the low-hanging, easier modeling software. The Fusion already has its AI assistant integrated to it, similar to the Revit 2027. So my thought is that what's going to happen possibly in the near future would be that they start with Fusion, which is an easy place for them to build. Then they move into other products and eventually go into 3D Studio Max and Revit with this partnership, as long as both teams agree with it. Well, with that, I thought it would be interesting to try to test to see what it's capable of doing, what it's not capable of doing. I don't know if what we in the industry want realistically is not really to type in every single command. So my initial thought was the way I would approach AI in these systems would be that I would want to upload a 3D spec of furniture, mechanical equipment, and then the idea would be that the model would actually model it. The other thing would be red lines. So instead of you typing in every single command for the AI to adjust the building, what we would do is work exactly the same way as we work right now, which is somebody marks up the red line, adjusts something, you give it to either Claude or one of the AIs. The AI then looks at the plan and then adjusts it in the 3D modeling software. So with that, I ended up doing, my first test was a small chair that was really simplified. It was like an IKEA chair. Fusion and Claude had no problem in modeling it. The next thought was, okay, what about a mechanical equipment that has to be machined out or something like that? So I gave it this very simplified 3D model. Sometimes we give it to our interviews. We give it to them for them to model it in Revit as a family, just to test to see how they do with complex geometry. So this is not a very difficult piece of 3D modeling. Surprisingly, the AI is coming along and it's starting to understand 3D geometry and stuff, but this is one of those cases where it couldn't handle the complexity, and it ended up, creating something that was somewhat similar, but not exactly that. The next thought was, what about Blender? So Blender's a little bit more freeform, doesn't have the restrictions that Fusion does. So it's also a modeling software. So my idea was like, here's kind of what I would want to do. I want to give it the same geometry and then test it with the complex modeling and see how close it actually gets inside of Blender. As I think that there is some restrictions on as far as modeling inside of Fusion. It didn't actually do as good as I thought it would do. The next thing that's really something that I think the industry needs is, we get a lot of existing buildings that need to be modeled in Revit, right? So these are floor plans, and they usually come in the form of AutoCAD, PDFs, even some of the old hand drawings. So the idea of realistic, what would help the industry actually move forward would be giving us the ability to upload existing drawings and have the AI actually build the existing conditions. That way, modelers could work on high-end modeling, ensuring that the building is designed well, checking sustainability, which usually gets left out a lot of the time. So we get more time if we are able to build the thing quickly. So my first thought was, all right, well, let's give it a really simplified version. So we ended up going into Blender and giving it a very simplified floor plan with a bunch of dimensions and a couple of dimensions that were missing. So it kind of had to recognize what was missing and then try to kind of see if it could figure out, with the scale of the drawing and everything, what was missing. So started doing it. It took a while. It actually, the first attempt it did, it kind of blew out the thing, and then it ended up at the very end actually getting the modeling done correctly. The only thing was the room in the middle wasn't exactly the way it was supposed to be built. So in my next thought is, moving forward, is how do we build this in Revit? And is Autodesk going to actually move into the Revit, allowing Claude to have a integration and also all of the tools necessary? Because at the moment right now, Revit allows you to connect the Claude through the MCP, but what it doesn't really allow you to do is just tell it to build something, because it's looking for API calls and a structured part of it. So this is something that even now, developers like myself, we have to build internally in order to get the Revit model to actually function correctly. So if Autodesk is to actually build the MCP, build the functionality, and then allow us to build the skill set on top of it, which then would allow us to manipulate the Revit API through one of our enterprise products. So it would be a whole funnel of allowing us to do a lot more work, and this is where I think the industry is going. So anyways, this is just a quick, test. We only had a few hours to play around with it, but in reality, AI, it's coming, I want to say within the next 3 or 4 months. The capabilities of it actually doing really good Revit modeling, Blender modeling, and Fusion modeling is going to happen. So if you like this kind of stuff, you should subscribe. I'll keep everybody posted as far as AI in architecture, engineering, and construction. And I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Thank you.